Hey, welcome to the Thrivecast. It is a production of the Thrival organization, and Thrival has been around, going strong for almost 15 years, where firm owners come from all over the world to build community and grow and build their firms together through our programs, events, education, and conferences. And we want to say thank you to Bill. They are a sponsor of the Thrivecast and have been for many years. We're actually a 15-year user of Bill in our firm. So thank you, Bill, for helping us as we deploy Bill into a lot of our controllership and CAS work with our clients all across the country. Thank you, Bill, for being a sponsor of the Thrivecast. Hey, I'm pumped to have another Thrivecast episode that we're bringing to everybody, to the accounting profession. So we have a really cool, super special guest, and I'll tell you why. Sarah Acton, Chief Customer Officer at Bill. And our firm's been on Bill for 15 years. We just celebrated our anniversary with Bill. We use it for all of our controllership work as a virtual firm, which is super cool. Of course, everybody knows Bill's been one of our sponsors for a gajillion years. That's an official number of years. So it's very exciting. So Sarah, thank you for coming on the Thrivecast. I'm excited to have you.
Jason, I am so excited to be here, and 15 years, I feel incredibly special.
It's a long time. Well, I used to hang out with Renee Lesser before he got busy. We were at the payroll product. He had started so long ago, and when he started Bill, we jumped on, and it's just been an amazing journey. How robust the product is, what y'all do to build it out is just is crazy. The support team you have is really, really cool. So, we won't dive into everything, Bill, but I'm just kind of excited to have you on the show. This is really pretty cool. So how did you make your way to Bill? And were you doing other things at Bill? I know you have a really long career and you've done stuff at a lot of other bigger companies, but how did you make your way to Bill?
Yeah, great question. My career I've had a lot of stops at amazing companies that I've been super fortunate to work at. But one of the things that sort of threads through in my career is my passion for customers and my passion for technology or data and democratizing that, putting it in the hands of more people. And so as I think about whether it was running my own small business for a little while, which we'll talk about, probably it tends to come up, or working for big technology consumer brands like LinkedIn and Yahoo. It's really about how do you take the power of technology and put it in the hands of people, which is exactly what we do at Bill. And so the ability to do that, serve, small and mid-sized businesses and accountants, which I have personal connections with, I just jumped at the chance.
Nice. Very cool. Well, so it's really cool as Chief Customer Officer at Bill, which we're going to talk a lot about how customers' expectations are changing. Of course, we're seeing those change. I know y'all really see those change, but I do want to dive into the entrepreneurship part. What was that journey? Have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur, or was it out of necessity? Sometimes it is. What was that journey? I'm curious.
I think for me, I came by it honestly. So my dad had a small legal practice that he ran for 50 years.
Wow.
And I know.
Wow.
I know. Crazy.
I know.
And he, part of what he did was intellectual property, so patents, copyrights, trademarks. And we would have inventors, and I say we because I spent a lot of time in the office. We'd have inventors come in through the doors talking about what they're passionate about, their idea. And sometimes they were crazy. Sometimes they were like crazy brilliant. It was a mix. But I got to see firsthand, both through the work my dad did, but also his clients, the power of taking your idea and bringing it to the world. And so I thought there might be a time where I would do my own thing, and some circumstances kind of led to that opportunity. And it was, I had worked, I'd gone graduate school, but the education that I got running my own business was just incredibly valuable. And I have so much empathy for people who start their own business, who run their own business. It is, you have to have passion and
You
grit.
do.
And I think that understanding helps me so much in my current job.
Yeah, very cool. Well, it's this show really is listened to by a lot of accounting firm entrepreneurs. It is they happen to be entrepreneurs, and most of them run an accounting firm, which is its own special type of entrepreneurship. But the cool thing is that we're able to sell different things than we used to, specifically like CAS and advisory.
Yep.
These are pretty profitable. They're great subscription type fixed pricing models. Do you think has the market changed allowing us to sell those things? Or do you think the market, like our customer market, is just totally different? And we actually can innovate and sell a lot of different things as accountants. I'm just curious how y'all have seen the accounting or the customer market change.
Yeah. And you're right. You said this at the top, that customers have changed and continue to change. And I think, what we see is an increasing demand for, not just the data, but like, what are the insights? What do you see at scale? How can whatever my goal is as a small business, how can my accountant partner really be a partner in the growth of my business, in the expansion of my business? And I think technology has played a key role in that. When you can take, part of what technology has done over time, and certainly in this industry, is it takes the things that can be automated and automates them. And so then it frees up time to find the next level of value delivery that customers need and want. And I think CAS is a perfect example of giving the accounting industry, through technology, through efficiency, giving the industry the room and the space to be able to increase their value delivery to clients. And the growth in the industry is a testament to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think big firms, it's really blowing up in big firms. They're just creating their own CAS departments, and AICPA is doing studies on CAS, and we're seeing a lot of benchmark studies kind of tell us how important it is, which is super cool to see. And of course, we do it, and we have to do it with Bill. Like you have to use a technology product to do that. One thing we are always careful about, though, with our clients is to make sure they have the ability to be digital in a sense, because, of course, bill is something we place on top of their company and turn every financial part of their department digital. Are you seeing a change in companies becoming more digital, or even our small business clients allowing us to serve them digitally? No paper?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that happened, if we go back to COVID, I think one of the things that happened was this acceleration, and even some places proliferation of the tech stack for the average small and mid-sized business. And I think one of the things that we're seeing, specific to the accounting industry, is accountants are now also looked at as tech advisors. Right? Like, your clients will come to you and they've got a basket of technology, and they may not, they're looking for guidance. They're looking for your expertise on, is this basket the right basket? Am I missing something? And so I think that, now there are still, there's still uncertainty. There's still, people want to feel like they've got somebody who they can lock arms with and be trusted on their automation journey. And that's where the accounting profession is uniquely poised. But I think that there are definitely all sorts of signals that that technology adoption curve is is not changing and is accelerating.
Right. Yeah. And especially with AI and, things like this, some people fear that technology still, even though we have really long histories now with products like Bill and a lot of amazing, accounting products, that technology only helps us do our work better. Like what's your viewpoint as people hear from you? What's your viewpoint on technology coming in, taking away some away of our compliance work and really taking our jobs, which is a pretty limited view. But what do you say when you hear things like that?
I think technology is what enables, especially in a service industry, it's what enables you to move up the value chain. And so as you think about, yes, are there things that technology can do that are less value add that you can automate? For sure. But does that replace humans? Absolutely not. Technology should enable more human connection, not less, because you can take more, time is fixed. We only have so many hours in a day. And the more that you can use your time to be client facing, to engage with clients, to understand their needs, their wants, I think that's super powerful. And the other thing I would say, certainly our viewpoint, the innovation that we drive, whether it's through AI or other innovation, it has to be value delivery. We're not looking for hype or flashy. Like, it has to solve a real problem. And I think when you align to that outcome, then you get great technology enhancements that do exactly that.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, I like how you said it. So technology lets us level up, so to speak, into different value markets. So it's a tool we leverage. We use tools all the time in our life, and technology is not a thing to fear. It's something that just continues to raise us all, all boats rise together with that. So I like how you said that. Now, as a lot of firms, we've been moving towards trusted advisor, towards advisory. What are y'all seeing as some of practical steps firms take or should be taking to deploy things like Bill or to start a CAS department and things like that? What are some practical steps y'all would walk them through to achieve that?
I think it starts with really knowing your customer. This has been, a thread for me, and the very best businesses, small or large, right, are built on really understanding who their customer is and listening to the customer and what the customer needs. And then as you think about any part of your structure or organization, it should be in service of that customer. So what you choose in terms of technology, what you choose in terms of how you structure your fees or what have you, knowing who you're trying to serve is incredibly valuable. And I think I learned this lesson in my own small business. That also means that there are probably some people you won't serve, and that's okay. Being focused on who you serve, being great at serving them, I think that is the foundation, certainly for moving into advisory services or really any next level growth of your practice or your business.
Yeah. It's interesting when I interview people who have had a long career. A couple of years ago, I celebrated 30 years in my career. And the more people I talk to that have had longer careers, they tell me that. They say relationships, right? If you want to do anything, if you want to become a trusted advisor, is what you were saying, lean into people. It's always about people. And y'all are a huge technology company. But, I know Renee has a passion for culture and his people. And so I guess he's an example of always being about people, even in a technology company. Is that what y'all find in your culture there at Bill?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, we, our company culture and how we think about going about our mission to make it simple to connect and do business is all about servicing the customer and understanding. And it's not a point in time, right? Like the customer continues to evolve. So it is a muscle that you have to build as an organization so that you can stay pace with your customer and build that into your values, build that into the culture that you're building, and that will serve you. And we've definitely found this. It helps as a guidepost for decisions. It helps as a way to frame your choices as an organization. And you're right, it 100% starts with Renee, and goes all the way down.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love cultures built around team. You find out when you do that, you're like, wow, these people are really the magic behind all that we do. Because you go through ups and downs in work, and so the people around you are what pick you up, lift you up, fight through those battles with you, and celebrate with you too, and some of those things. So that's cool. Well, Bill really gets inserted into a lot of firms that are trying to improve their client's journey. We're basically trying to give the client more. When we hear them writing checks, we're like, you don't have to do that. But you don't have to go to the P.O. box anymore. We're like, no, you don't have to do that anymore. As we walk our clients through a client journey, really kind of to come into digital, come into a product like Bill that just kind of runs the whole financial department, what are some of the friction points that you would say you need to probably address these to help that client really embrace it, lean into technology, and then start trusting the firm more?
Yeah, humans are not wired to, most humans are not wired to really crave change. And so I think the key friction points, I think it's understanding workflows. You were talking about the customer journey, like really understanding their workflows. And I think and when I talk to customers, like there are, based on the dynamics of their business, based on who they're trying to serve and how they operate, there can be different points of friction. And I think it's understanding those points of friction, understanding the things in their operations that are critical, and then spending extra time there. If you may have a client who has new seasonal staff, I don't know. And so understanding that and saying, okay, great, we'll do training, or okay, great, we'll solve that problem with you. I think really understanding what they believe their barriers are, and then being able to address them together, I think is what helps customers and the firms sort of smooth through those friction points. And then you're right. The other thing I will just say is the power of painting a picture for what things look like on the other side. Your example of somebody telling me they're cutting checks and going to their P.O. box. What happens, how their lives get better when they change that. And so painting that picture of how things can be better is a great motivator.
That's cool. Yeah. And that takes time. So, as accounting firm owners, we have to slow down. And sometimes that sales process, because if we sell CAS and they're not used to that, and we say, hey, we can kind of run your financial department for you. We can be that outsourced provider. Sometimes they don't understand what that may mean. And so we can slow down. It takes some time to go through that sales process and eliminate some of those frictions, and the stories can really be a big part of that. I want to ask you about Bill. So the way we approach working with clients, a lot of times Bill is just kind of something they get, and we put it in our pricing, and we draft our prices on the first of each month. And so there's some level of firms serving clients better and not letting technology, distract from our relationship. And so we don't say, do you want to use bill.com? Well, it's Bill now, Sarah. And I keep saying,
It's
I
all good.
I
You've
know.
been with us for 15
I
years. You get
know.
to call us
Come
what you
on.
want.
I get to call you that. So, but I know we tried to change it. All right. So Bill, so sometimes we don't even tell them. We're like, yeah, and we'll deploy this tool called Bill, and it's just built into the price. They don't really have a choice to take it out. Um, is that how to approach the market when you're doing something like this, or do firms do that different? Do they separate, Bill and say, use this product? Do you want to? We kind of don't ask
Yeah.
the client. How should you do that best?
We see a mix. We see a
Okay.
mix. And I think largely it goes back to understanding both um, how the firm wants to be able to grow their business, because we definitely see firms that standardize.
Yep.
And they've said, for our economics, for our customer we're trying to serve, for the growth profile we want to
Mhm.
have, we have to standardize in
Yep.
order for us to have efficiencies
You
and
do.
be able to service our customers the way that we want.
Mhm.
And then there are other firms where there are choices. And I think it really depends on the balance between what the firm needs in terms of its operational sort of portfolio and the everything from pricing to service model,
Mm.
and the types of customers, the types of clients that you're serving. So we definitely see a mix, but I do find that the firms who have gone more towards standardization, I think they free up more of the sort of cognitive bandwidth in having to support multiple, which makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because sometimes we place on the client a choice that they don't really need to wrestle with, right? Sometimes they don't have the practical experience to kind of make a choice about their financial department, and a lot of times they have to, but we just kind of decide that for them. And of course, we're looking for a client that wants us to decide that for them.
Yeah.
And I guess not all firms do that, but some clients just like, okay, whatever you use. Or a lot of times now they're coming to us and they have Bill already.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's pretty ubiquitous product, so
Yeah.
we just kind of share it with us and invite us into their user base. So it's kind of cool.
And Jason, it goes back to that, I think the role of the accounting professional in the industry has
Hmm.
really moved to you all being in the position of being technology advisors,
Yeah,
because
it's
you
wild.
are so embedded in understanding the tools that are out there, and there are always new tools that are launching, and
Hmm.
but I think you have the unique opportunity to be able to understand the technology, but then also see potentially for the customer, oh, I know where you want your business to go,
Yeah,
and this will scale with you,
yeah,
which is a huge value.
yeah. This is cool. So one thing I know y'all focus on, because I'll get emails from my new rep sometimes, like, "Hey, Jason, I'm the new person you're supposed to talk to." Y'all are assigning people, to care for your clients, and I know as Bill's gotten bigger, there's got to be strategies around not losing that client focus. And I guess my question is really about for firms that get larger, that founder, that owner stops or begins to lose contact sometimes with those clients.
Mm.
And I guess what are some strategies to really help growing firms still help that one client feel special, or some kind of client first focus? Are there things you would say that we should do as firms? I'm sure y'all have a lot of strategies too you have to employ to your huge user base.
It I know there's a theme here, but it goes back to technology.
Yeah.
I As you think about whether that scale is from 10 clients to 100,
Mm.
or 10,000 customers to over 480,000
Yeah.
customers, really understanding the customer journey, where we can deploy technology to drive efficiency, to get the information to customers faster at scale, and then free up time in the same way that happens for the firm. Like, we free up time to be able to have those individual conversations, and for that rep to be able to reach out to you and say, hey, I want to chat, I want to do a quarterly check-in, let's talk about your business. But that can only be accomplished if you really understand the parts of your model or your business that you can automate without sacrificing quality. You can automate them, and technology keeps getting better and better. But then freeing up time to be able to have those engagements, because that the human connection is, you can't automate that.
No, yeah, and that's. I think we're learning that. I think we've probably always known that, but as we use more and more technology, I like how you answer that. Technology is always going to take away things from us, hopefully, that are not human centric, right? It's stuff we do. The accountants with a green visor in the back room just punching through numbers. That's not people focused work, right? It used to have to be done with ledgers and pencils and things like that. But technology takes all the way. It keeps moving us towards the front of the firm, towards the client. It feels like. So, technology is a big part of that leverage. AI, that's doing the same thing. And how are y'all focused on AI and think through that?
Yeah, we are deploying AI both in terms of the product experience itself. So as you think about being able to catch errors, or being able to do sort of pattern matching at scale, whether that's using machine learning models or true sort of AI. And then within our own processes, I run our sort of go-to-market team, so all of marketing and sales, really looking at AI to be able to help us drive both speed and efficiency in how we're able to service clients. So everything from using AI to help a sales rep have all of the context they need to have a great conversation with a customer when they get a customer on the phone, right? Like, help pull all of that together so they can focus on the customer, this part.
That's cool.
Versus pulling data. And I think those kinds of use cases, and we are like the whole industry is, looking at not just what everybody else is doing, but based on our business and our customer and our model, where can we best deploy technology to drive value and outcomes for the customer?
Yeah, that's cool. One thing, AI is it's moving so fast, as everybody knows. And a lot of times at our conferences and things like that, we're all trying to learn, how do we do it? How do we use it as AI? How do we use AI as firm owners? And really, a lot of the software partners are the ones that are bringing it to us, right? And really, that's y'all's responsibility that's such a transformative part of our technology. You have to really show us how to use it. And so we're kind of being inundated with a lot of the AI that's actually coming through products we're already familiar with, which is kind of cool. It takes a little bit of the burden off of us as firm owners, where we're not technology, experts. We just get to be introduced to some new part of a tool that has AI embedded into it and go, now you can just query for vendors and the very last check over $3,000. I mean, just wild stuff. We can just start asking these questions from a database that produce so much information. Is that kind of where y'all are headed to? Just kind of giving the queries of that data to us?
100%. And I think you're absolutely right about the dynamic of software builders, technologists are looking for ways within our own products and services to leverage the power of AI to deliver more value to you. And the same is true of, we use other pieces of software, from a marketing perspective. There are tools that we use, and our partners are bringing us smart AI within the platforms. I think the thing that I would be remiss if I didn't sort of share with your listeners is part of our jobs as leaders, as people within the organization, is to create a culture around trying the technology,
Nice.
leveraging the technology. And so I think you're right that whether it's Bill or another software provider, we may put tools in your hands, but I think firm leaders and leaders in the industry need to help their people with changing their mindset and not being scared about using technology and creating a culture of using it.
Yeah.
Because that's how it gets better, right? The
Yeah.
shipping doesn't deliver the value. It's the use that delivers the value.
Yeah. So there's got to be some level of comfort with experimentation, trying something you're not, used to doing, and especially for firms, our profession still has, a group that might be fearful of technology, and really encouraging them to just give it a try. You're not going to break anything.
Indeed.
You're probably only going to help people, through
Yeah.
that process. So, well, one thing I talked to our Thrival audience not long ago in a conference was really the levels of relationship. It was through a consultant we were reading about, and going deeper into relationships. And I think as our profession, there's always been this independence mentality. Auditors have to have that, to properly audit their client. They have to have independence from them and things like that. But a lot of more entrepreneurial firm owners are kind of leaning into a deeper relationship, a more authentic relationship. I think we tend to really care about our entrepreneurial clients. We want them to do better. Sometimes we'll get in fights with them if they're doing the wrong thing. We're like, hey, you got to stop doing this. This is not good for your business. But is there some kind of balance you would say people need to think about as they maintain this deep authenticity with their clients, but also the credibility around their professional view, maybe their licensure and things like that? How do you balance that deep relationship and being the professional at the same time?
It's a great question. And the way that I think about it is that the authenticity is part of what leads to building credibility. I don't
Yeah.
think that they are opposed or
Yeah.
working against each other. I think when you show up authentically with your client, with your customer, it really does build credibility. A super quick story. When I was running my own business, I had a customer who came in, and I talked the customer out of buying something because I was like, you don't need that. And she was like, well, but people, I was like, you don't need that. Like, do this, come back to me. If in 2 weeks you still need it, like, let me know.
Yeah.
She was a customer the whole time I had the business.
Very cool.
Because I showed up authentically as, like, you yelling at your clients when you're doing the wrong thing. I was like, no,
Right.
you don't need this. And then they feel like, oh, like this person really does know what they're doing, and I trust them. And so I think they go together.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I like how you coupled those together. Now, and we're kind of headed towards the end here of our show, but as we start to see some of that, the way we balance authenticity, kind of our expertise, as we see clients sometimes feel resistant to technology, and we know, like we said earlier, we know what's on the other side of not writing checks or not driving to the bank and making deposits. Weird stuff that people still do. We see the other side of that. But sometimes a client can still feel, resistant. And I wonder, how do you walk them through taking that plunge, knowing that the firm's going to support them? Like, is there a next step you would walk that client towards to make them feel comfortable to take that plunge?
I think it starts with really understanding what the fear is, what they're afraid of. I think when you understand, oh, I'm really afraid of making a mistake, or I'm really afraid that my team's not going to want to do this, or I'm whatever it is, understanding that, and then oftentimes it's developing a really practical and easy to follow sort of roadmap. It's like, okay, great. We're going to follow these steps. I think sometimes any change, if you can break it down into, it's kind of like we think about onboarding journeys. Like you break things down into sort of a process. It's not magical or mystical. Like you just break it down into a process that can take some of the anxiety away. And then I think the other thing that accountants have is you have the power of using examples from other clients. So nobody's the first. The path is, it may not be exactly the same, but knowing that other people have done it and have seen great results, I think reminding folks along that journey is super powerful.
Yeah. No, that's so cool. We've been walking clients through an onboarding journey for so many years, and we've really learned how to bring Bill into that because Bill is so robust. There's so much to it. So we know how to introduce it in little steps, but a lot of times when they come on, part of what we have them pay us for is to train them. It's like, all right, we're going to manage the inbox. Y'all are going to do this. You've agreed to, we'll get all the bills set up and they're approved. And then you hit the button to pay. And so we walk them through how they're going to use the product. So as accountants, we even have to not just assume the client's just going to dive in and start absorbing bill. It's like a lot of clients can't do that. They're trying to run a business, right? We have to bring the weight of some of the training for that product. It's just so bulky and it does so much, which I know can sometimes be hard, even a barrier for firms, to adopt it. But you can take little pieces of bill and kind of just, digitally change the life of your client by just putting an inbox and start dumping everything in it. It's so cool what y'all built. So, well, as we're wrapping up, I'm just curious, are there things about, the future at Bill you can talk about? Or the year? I mean, what's happening with y'all?
Yeah. I'll answer the question in two ways. One, we are so excited about all of the momentum that's happening in the accounting industry. Whether it is how firms are changing their service model to the pushes we're getting from the industry about new areas for us to explore as your clients are changing, as the industry is changing. And so our continued investment and engagement with the industry is one of the things that, if anything, we're doubling down. And I spend a bunch of time talking to firms, getting out as much as I can, and I'm super excited about that. And so you'll start to see, there are other things we're building. There are innovations that are coming that are based on what we're hearing, like really listening to. Okay, here's an innovation. Here's a problem that, Bill, can you help us solve this? It's like, okay, great. Let's take that on. So that's the first thing. The second thing I will say is when we were talking about this, the pace of innovation, we are absolutely putting our foot on the gas. And whether it is, we talked about some features that we launched in our call last week, but we are accelerating our pace of innovation, and so keep the feedback coming. This is the message to your listeners. Keep the feedback coming. We're hungry for it, and we look forward to continuing to solve problems together. And we share the same, wanting. When your clients win, the economy wins, our communities win. When you guys win, our economy wins, the community wins. So we're in it with you.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, y'all are just, your web is weaved into so much of the small business now. It's pretty cool just how you as a payments company from so long ago has turned into so much. So it's really cool, Sarah, to have seen y'all go through that journey and to have you kind of walk us through some of the things going on. Is there a place that you would say, hey, if people need to know about Bill, it's like this is the first place to go, or here's the first thing to do? What's that first next step for them?
Just go to our website,
Yeah.
bill.com. There are learning tools. You can go to bill.com/learn. We have a ton of accounting resources on the platform, everything from content around how you could break into CAS.
Yeah.
To materials that we've worked with you on.
Yep.
That can help sort of break down. And then if you want to talk to us, reach out.
Yeah, very cool. Okay. Well, Sarah Acton, thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Thrivecast. We're thankful for our sponsorship and our just the work we get to do with Bill. We really appreciate you all.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you for 15 years.
Yeah.
You are part of the fabric of this company.
That's
and we
right.
appreciate it.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.